Hi and welcome back to my channel. In this video today, I'll be showing you how to create printable Christmas gift tags in Canva. Head to canva.com. Once you've logged in or created an account, in the left side panel, click on Create. These gift tags are going to be created on a landscape document sized at 11 by 8.5 inches. There's going to be 8 tags per page, making each tag 2¼ inches wide by 3 5/8 of an inch tall. So to set up our document, in the left side panel, click on Custom Size. At the top, we're going to put in the width and height of our document. I'm going to change the units from pixels to inches by clicking the drop down and choosing inches. Now back to our width, which is going to be 11 inches, and our height, 8.5 inches. Once you've entered in your dimensions, click Create New Design. So the first thing we're going to do is set up some guidelines. In the upper left hand corner, click on File. Go to Settings and Add Guides. When you click on Add Guides, it gives you a couple options of columns that you can use, or you can do custom, which is what we're going to do. So this document is going to have 4 columns and 2 rows. I'm going to put in the specs for the guides. I'll insert a picture of what I put in. Once you've added in your dimensions for your guides, click on Add Guides. So it says Guides Added and Locked. So that means if we decide to click on them and try to move them, they won't move. After your guides have been set up, now it's time to add in our cut lines. Type L on your keyboard to bring up a line. So once we have our line here, we're going to adjust it. So what I'm going to do is show you how to make your line, and then I'm going to change the color of it. Because if I change the color of it now, you probably won't be able to see it on the document. So with our line selected, we're going to take it and move it up to match all of our guidelines that we just created. So I brought it up here to this top guideline, and then I'm going to stretch the line until it reaches across the whole page. Once you have this line, you would just duplicate it and put it where every guideline is. And then you would repeat that process for all of the guidelines. But before I do all of that, I'm going to click on my line, go to Stroke Style, and I'm going to change the stroke weight to 1. Then I'm going to go to Stroke Color and change it to this light gray. So now it's kind of hard to see my line because it's that light gray color and it's blending in with the purple guidelines. But now all I'm going to do is duplicate this line and match it up with all of the guidelines. Once you have all of your cut lines in place, now it's time to turn off our purple guides by heading back up to File, Settings, and unchecking the option that says Show Rulers and Guides. So now we just have our cut lines. Setting up the cut lines is important because when you download and print your gift tags, you'll be able to know where to cut them. I'm going to design 4 different ones, and then I'm going to copy the ones that are up here and move them down here, for a total of 8 tags on a page. But before we get started designing, it's important that you lock your cut lines. So that way while you're designing your tags, you won't accidentally click on them or move them. So to do that, I'm going to use a selection rectangle by clicking, holding, and dragging until I select each line on the page. And you'll know they're all selected once they turn purple. And once you do that, above the selection, there's a little lock icon. You can just click on lock, or you can also decide to group them and lock them as well. So I'm just going to lock them. And so now I cannot move them. Press T on your keyboard to bring up a text box. So my thought for this one is going to have the words Merry Christmas as the background, and then at the bottom have a spot to write to and from. And so what I'm going to do first is type in the words Merry Christmas in this text box. So I decided I'm going to have Merry and Christmas in 2 different text boxes. So you can either hit T on your keyboard to bring up another text box, or with this text box selected, you can hit Ctrl D and it'll duplicate it. And then in the second text box, I'm going to write Christmas. And then I'm going to arrange the two text boxes so they're kind of offset. So I'm going to select both of these text boxes by using the selection rectangle that we just used. And I'm going to go up to the font picker. So you can either scroll through all of the font options, or if you have a certain font or style of font that you want to use, you can type it here in the search bar. So I'm going to type in script and then find one that I want to use. You can also put in handwritten if you want a handwritten look. So now I have the font that I want to use. Now I'm going to arrange this on the tag by clicking, holding, and dragging it to the tag I want to put it on. Before I start rearranging the text on this tag, I'm going to add some guidelines for the halfway point of the tag. So I'm going to hit R on my keyboard to bring up a rectangle. And then I'm going to take that rectangle and move it up until it fits the tag. Then I just have to adjust the rectangle so it fits. So this rectangle represents the size of one tag. Now what I'm going to do is head up to File, Settings, and go to Show Rulers and Guides. So over at the left side panel, there's these rulers. If you put your mouse inside of the ruler, you'll see this double-sided arrow appear. If you click, hold, and drag, you're creating a new guideline. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the guideline and move it to the midway point of the black rectangle. And you know it's in that center point when that solid pink line shows up. Now I need to add the halfway point for the other tags. So I'm just going to take this black rectangle and move it to the next tag. And then I'm going to go into the left side ruler, click, hold, and drag until it's in the center of that rectangle. And then I'll just repeat the process for the other two. And once I'm done adding in my guidelines, I can get rid of this rectangle. So now I'm going to select both the Merry and the Christmas text boxes. In the upper toolbar, I'm going to change the text color. Under Document Colors, I'm going to click on the plus to add a new color. And then I'm going to pick a red color. And also, while those are both still selected, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And so now I moved those text boxes to the center of my tag. With those still selected, I'm going to click on Group. And if this little toolbar above the text box isn't showing up, you can always do Ctrl G on your keyboard to group elements. Now I'm going to hit Ctrl D on my keyboard to duplicate the text boxes. And then I'm going to move it slightly under the first text boxes. And I'm going to duplicate the text boxes until they fill the tag. I'm going to select all of my elements, right-clicking, clicking on Align Elements, and clicking on Center. So now I just move all of those text boxes to the center of the tag. And what I'm going to do is select 5 of the text boxes and decrease the opacity. So I'm going to click my first text box, and in order to select multiple at the same time, you can press and hold Shift while clicking on your other elements or text. So I selected the 5 that I'm going to lower the opacity to, and I left the one that I'm going to keep at 100% opacity. In the upper toolbar, I'm going to click on Transparency, and then I'm going to lower it. Now I'm going to add a rectangle at the bottom so you can put to and from. Press R on your keyboard to bring up a rectangle. So I'm going to take it and move it to my tag. I'm going to adjust this so it goes a little bit beyond these guidelines. I'm going to hit T on my keyboard to bring up a text box. I'm going to go up to the color picker and change the text color to white. And then I'm going to write in the word to. With that text box selected, I'm going to hit Ctrl D to duplicate it. And in this box, I'm going to write from. And you can decide to add a line next to the to and from lines by pressing L on your keyboard. And then you can adjust the size, weight, and color of your line. And then once you have that how you want it, you can just duplicate that line and put it next to from. Now on to the second gift tag. I'm going to select this rectangle from the first one. I'm going to duplicate it and move it to the second tag. So I'm going to make the rectangle a little bit slimmer. And basically what I want to do with this one is have alternating rectangles. When I was thinking up the design, I was thinking red and white, but maybe I'll add in a green rectangle at the top and the bottom. And so I need a total of 11 rectangles to be able to do this design I'm trying to do. So I'm going to start with this red rectangle here, and then I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to go up to the color picker and change it to white. I know I could have just taken the red one and like duplicated it and spaced it out, but I feel like with adding the white rectangle in there, it'll help me to be able to see that there's 11 different ones and be able to adjust it accordingly. Now I'm just going to select the red and the white rectangle and duplicate those and put them right underneath. So once I have all 11 of my rectangles, then I'm going to take this bottom node and stretch it until it fits the tag. And as you can see, I let them extend a little bit past that guideline. I'm now going to take the top and bottom red rectangles and make them a little bit taller so that they go over the top guideline. So now I'm going to select all of the rectangles and I'm going to group them together. I'm going to hit T on my keyboard to bring up a text box. And I'm going to write in Merry in one text box, Christmas in another, to and from, each in their own separate ones. And I'm going to take the to in the from text box from the first gift tag, and I'm going to duplicate it and move it to the second tag. And so now for the text, I'm going to change it by clicking on it, heading to the font picker, so I think I'm going to use this font, and so now I'm just going to make it bigger so that it fits within the rectangle. So I'm going to change all of the text to green by selecting the text box, heading up to the color picker, and choosing green. And then I'm just trying to mess around with the layout and see what I like best. So here's what we have so far. So I'm selecting the Merry and Christmas text boxes, and I think I'm going to add like a shadow. And I moved the text box down slightly. It was within this white rectangle, but I'm going to move it down so it kind of overlaps into the red one, and then I'm going to add a shadow. So with that text box selected, in the upper toolbar, click on Effects, and then you can add these different effects to your text boxes. I'm going to click on Shadow, and once you click on Shadow, it gives you different settings that you can adjust. So I think the only thing I'm going to do is adjust the direction a little bit, but other than that, I'm going to keep everything the same. And now I'm going to do the same thing to the Christmas text box. So with this text box selected with the shadow, if you go to the upper toolbar and click on this little paint roller, which allows you to copy the style. And so it says Style Copied, select to apply. So now I'm just going to take this little paint roller and click on the Christmas text box. And so now it has the same shadow as the Merry text box. And if you ever want to check and see how your tags are looking without the guidelines or anything, you can head up to File in the upper left hand corner, go to Settings, and uncheck Show Rulers and Guides. And so this allows you to see a little bit better how your tags are coming along. Press R on your keyboard to bring up a rectangle, and then move it to the spot for the third tag. So this one's going to be a non-traditional color for Christmas. So with this rectangle selected, if you head up to the color picker and click on the plus to add a new color, and I'm going to make it this navy color. Over in the side panel, if you click on Elements, I'm going to search for snowflakes. And I'm going to click on Graphics. And now I'm just going to find a few different snowflakes that I want to put on the background. And when I'm selecting these snowflakes, it's important that I'm able to change the color of them. I was going to make these snowflakes like a gold color, but seeing the light blue up against the navy blue, I kind of like how that looks, so I may leave them this light blue color. But with the snowflake selected, if you head up to the color picker, click on Add a New Color, I'm going to try to find a gold color. So now I'm just trying to arrange these gold snowflakes around the tag. So which snowflakes do you like, the gold ones or the light blue ones? I think I'm going to go with the light blue ones. So now I'm taking some of these snowflakes, duplicating them and making them a little bit smaller to fill in some of the space on the tag. So now I'm going to add text to this gift tag. So I'm just going to duplicate the text box from the first gift tag and move it to the third one. And this one's going to say Happy Holidays. So now I'm going to add an effect on this text. With the text box selected, head up to the upper toolbar and click on Effects. I'm going to choose the background effect. And again, when you click on that, there's different settings that you can adjust. So I reduced the roundness, reduced the spread, and now I'm going to change the color of the background. So I think I'm just going to pick a slightly darker blue. So I'm going to add a little bit of dimension to this tag, having some of the snowflakes be on top of the Happy Holidays text. So click on whichever snowflake you want to be on top of the text, and in the upper toolbar, click on Position, and then I'm just going to pick to front. And when you choose to front, that means it'll put it on top of every other layer within the document. With the position window still up, you can also click on Layers, and you can click and drag the layers also. And now I'm just going to pick a couple more snowflakes that I want at the top layer. Now onto the fourth and final tag. I'm going to select the rectangle from the third one and duplicate it by hitting Ctrl D on my keyboard. And I'm going to change the color of this to green. With the rectangle still selected, head up to the color picker, and we'll just pick the green that we used earlier. Now I'm going to go to Elements, and I'm going to type in Christmas Florals. Basically what I want to do with this one is have like the floral at the top and the bottom, and then in the center I'll just have two in front. So I found this image here in the Elements, and I just made it the size that I wanted it to be and copied it to the bottom. Then I found this separate element that I'm going to add right here. And I could have individually grabbed different like floral elements and put them together to create my own border. But I did that in one of the other videos, and it was a bit time consuming, so I decided that I just wanted to find like a border in the Elements that I could use and then add to it if I wanted. And so now I'm just going to add text to this tag by hitting T on my keyboard and writing in to in the first text box, and then I'm going to write from in the second text box. So I'm going to select both of those text boxes and head up to the font picker, and then I'm going to find a font. And now I'm just going to add a line where somebody can write their name by pressing L on my keyboard. With the line still selected, I'm going to the upper toolbar, and I'm going to change the stroke color to red. And then I'm going to Stroke Style and changing the stroke weight to 1. And now I just have to make it smaller to fit on the tag. And I just made some minor adjustments, and here's what we have. So here's all of our printable gift tags. So what I'm going to do before I copy and paste these four onto the bottom of the page is to group each tag and everything on it. So with this first one, I'm going to make a selection rectangle, making sure I select all of the text, lines, and rectangles on this one tag. And once I have all of those selected, I'm going to click up here and click on Group. If Group doesn't show up, you can always right click and select Group from the menu, or you can do Ctrl G on your keyboard. So when I tried to group everything on this tag, it made everything have a lower opacity. So what I can do is either group things that are similar, so all of the text that's lower opacity, group those together, and then group everything else together, or I can just leave it ungrouped. So I'm just going to group both of those things separately. So all of the text boxes with the lower transparency, I group those together, and then I group together everything else. And the reason for grouping is so that you don't have lots of different text boxes, rectangles, elements, shapes, and other things, so you can prevent accidentally selecting ones and moving ones you don't want to move. So now I'm going to do that with the second tag as well. I'm going to use that selection rectangle to select the text boxes and the rectangles. And you also want to look out for, when you're making the selection rectangle, that you aren't going too far over into the next tag or accidentally grabbing elements that overlap on the tag. So like in this case, I made my selection rectangle a little bit too wide, and now it's selecting the snowflakes on the third tag. So in order to do that, I'm just going to pull back my rectangle a little bit, and so now it's just selected everything on the second tag. And again, going to group, and now I'm going to repeat that process for the third and fourth tag. So now that we have all of our individual tags grouped, now I'm going to use a selection rectangle and select all 4 tags. You can either hit Ctrl D to duplicate, or you can right click and click on duplicate. And now from this point, all you have to do is drag the 4 duplicated copies down to the bottom half of your page. And when you copy those tags onto the bottom part of the page, it would be a good idea to go back and kind of zoom in and check and make sure that you have overlap where you need. So for like any of these rectangles, I had those rectangles go over the cut line so that once it's cut, that rectangle goes from edge to edge. So you just want to make sure that there is some overlap over the cut lines for things you want. And you may have to move things over slightly. So now I'm going to go back up to File, to Settings, and I'm going to turn off my rulers and guides. And so with the rulers and guides off, you can also zoom in and take a closer look at any of the tags. So once you have all of your tags how you want them, now it's time to download them. In the upper right hand corner, click on Share. Click on Download. And we have to change the file type. So if you click this drop down, we're going to choose PDF print. So I'm going to select the option for flatten PDF. It says flattening your PDF converts content of the design into a single image per page. It may increase the file size. And then you click on download. And here are our printable Christmas gift tags that we made in Canva. So this concludes the video on how to make printable Christmas gift tags in Canva. If you found this video helpful, let me know by hitting the like button. Subscribe for more videos like this and hit the bell to be notified when I upload a new video. Remember to check the description box for any resources that may have been mentioned in the video. And as always, thanks for watching.